Good evening. My name is Jamie Miller, and tonight I will be talking to you about 3 different forms / devices of poetry. To start with, we'll be talking about a dramatic monologue. A dramatic monologue is a type of poem where the reader is speaking to a off-screen figure, someone who isn't the reader but also isn't talking. A good example of a dramatic monologue would be Unknown Girl in the Maternity Ward by Anne Sexton. Namely, one line where Sexton says, quote, "Child, the current of your breath is 6 days long. You lie, a small knuckle on my white bed. Lie, fisted like a snail, so small and strong at my breast." Obviously she's talking to her, newborn daughter, which obviously the newborn daughter isn't going to be speaking, but nevertheless, that's who she's talking to. And she obviously uses like symbolism, or more specifically hyperbole. Speaking of which, the second, device we're going to be talking about tonight, will be hyperbole, or as my high school English teacher, Mr. Bloomers, would jokingly say, hyperbole. Yeah, hyperbole, is basically when you will use, like ridiculous, almost goofy descriptions, for something more or less ordinary. For example, poem to some of my recent poems by James Tate has a really good example where he says, quote, "She had defective tear ducts and could only weep iced tea." Obviously, that's not technically true. People don't weep iced tea, although it would be kind of cool if we could. Although a little sticky, to be honest with you. The point is, he's using that, almost to like make a point across, get your attention with how goofy it is. Like he's basically saying even when crying, she was cold. For our third and final, poetic device, we're going to be talking about a mock epic. Mock epics, in my opinion, are like the easiest to understand. They're basically like a, parody of an epic. Something where they act like, oh, it's epic and yada yada, but it really isn't. Like, there was a book which was a mock epic. I forget the name. It was like Don Quixote or something. Basically, he was a crazy Frenchman who believed he was a knight and jousted windmills because he was delusional. But, for the sake of my example here, I'm using The Fight by Russell Edson, which is a really goofy, story or poem, which goes, quote, "A man is fighting with a cup of coffee. The rules: he must not break the cup nor spill its coffee, nor must the cup break the man's bones or spill his blood." The man said, "Oh, hell with it," as he swept the cup to the floor. The cup did not break, but its coffee poured out of its open self. The cup cried, "Don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. I am without mobility. I have no defense save my utility. Use me to hold your coffee." And obviously that whole poem is just goofy beyond belief. A guy's fighting with a somehow sentient cup of coffee. There's nothing really epic about it, but the way they describe it, sweeping the cup to the floor, gives the idea that, oh, it's some epic battle, man versus coffee cup. And that's basically a mock epic, in a nutshell. It's almost a parody, like how you had Scary Movie was a parody of the horror genre. It's basically, yeah, like that.